Yahoo! Prof here, and we just unboxed another new sunflower pen, specifically the EDK from Keras Customs. So if you guys are interested in that, check out the previous video. I also get attacked by cats. Remember to clean out your wounds. In the meantime, well, I don't know what they intend for you. What happens? You get like infection in your wounds, and you're too wounded, so you can't run away, and they hunt you down. Well, that happens. We got another package, because it'll be a little while before those scratches kill me, as annoying as they are. Almost have all of the missed the sunflower colored ones, which, like, you know, is the reason why we've got the yellow tuck. As I prefer, if this tuck, like if they come with a tuck close to this, or a tuck that is you know, closer to that, we'll have to pick another one, obviously. But now, here's something I was kind of surprised at. I could feel 2 items in here. Why is that important? Everyday Keras. This should be, theoretically, here's the basic 1. Right? David has the basic 2 off me after I did that video. He was the one that I said it was going to. So I bought the subscription. And here is... Oh, okay. I thought that this one was coming later. Alright. I was like, why the heck are there 2 in here? So here is the basic 3. Right? This is the one I don't know if I'm going to keep personally. We're going to have to take this guy out of there. I don't even know where we're going to put him anymore. And this is, I think this is not the basic 4, technically. I might have been calling it that incorrectly, because this is the subscription exclusive pen. It is actually, and I'm very happy about this. They were originally going to make it, I think they were actually calling it the basic one, EXC or exclusive or executive or something like that. They actually, you guys bought them so hard out of the basic 1, they didn't have enough blanks left of the basic 1, this guy, to make this out of it. Now, me personally, I'm kind of happy about that, because I don't have a basic 2. Square's got that one, right? And I really like that design. So we'll take a look at this one in a little bit, because that's kind of like the bonus item. So that would be the like basic 2 exclusive or executive. Basically, the only way you get this is by doing the subscription plan, which was $100 for the quarter. This, please, if you're running, I was like surprised by this. It's anodized. They kind of combined some of the requests. So Battle Worn was apparently the highest request for it. And then Anodized was number 1 or number 2 in colorway. I forget. So they kind of combined those. It doesn't have that same like dry, bare aluminum feel, because this guy is raw aluminum. Like, not anodized, not even clear anodized. Just like the other one. So until you, it's like nails on a chalkboard is what it feels like. It doesn't sound like it. I guess it can a little bit, but like, there's this like kind of powdery feel that raw aluminum has. Now, once you get your hand oils all over it, it'll stop doing that. So don't be too, you're like, oh, this $30 one feels all nasty or whatever. This guy doesn't have any of that feel left. And you can see that if you see any of those white spots, that's like oxidation because there is no anodizing later. That's actually what anodizing aluminum does, is you're actually like purposely oxidizing it, because aluminum will oxidize when, like, in the air, if there's enough moisture, or enough humidity, I should say, to that. But the other thing you can do is you're just going to give it a coating of your human schmoo, your human oils, right? And then it eventually doesn't feel that way. It doesn't take too long. But you can see the difference here. About this guy got duller than that. And it hasn't been that long that I've had these two. So I can tell you that sort of like that sort of chalkboard feeling will go away off of the bare aluminum ones fairly quickly. And since they're using a Delrin slider, you're not going to run into other issues like Squeers has with his some of his other stuff that's raw aluminum with a raw aluminum slider in there. They kind of gall a little bit. Pretty common. They'll have like kind of like black and white stuff coming off, especially black from my experience. Just because it's a raw aluminum rubbing on raw aluminum. The anodizing process also leaves a harder surface generally, which can be smoother. This one, I think, highly reminds me of the EDK. How about you guys? But highly reminds me of an EDK. Especially down there. I guess it might even remind you more of this way. As far as I can tell, I have to measure it up. But see, there's my clumsiness coming in. Luckily, it wasn't the Cerakoted one. That's part of the benefit of getting one of these raw aluminum or battle-worn ones, or say titanium tumbled or stainless steel, is when you drop it because you're clumsy and your hands just let go of things. Literally, let me know if you have that issue in the comment. Like I'll just be holding shit and then like not. To me, this feels like a more of a bump over on this side than this side, right? And this part here, if I hold it here, that's pretty good. Like this part of the hand can kind of wiggle in this little like skinnier spot there. It definitely has its own vibe. From what I can tell, they are thinking of doing a 4, 5, and 6. I don't know if I'm gonna pick up the subscription again. If they make another exclusive one, I might, especially if I have people that I know would be interested. Like I'm gonna ask around, see if anybody is interested in this guy for the $29. Otherwise, David said he would be up for it. These are quality pens, and I was really only interested probably in Basic 1, and then the exclusive one. They've also had, if you go to the pen show, I was sadly unable to attend. They were actually at the Chicago Pen Show, and they had other colored prototypes for the basic pens that I would have been all about. It was, however, I believe the week before ACEN, Anime Central. They seem to be stopping calling it ACEN lately, the past couple years, especially this year. Like even people at the event when staff on the stage that I've seen for years called it ASEN, like guests looked at them like, huh? Which is, you know, people used to not even bother calling it Anime Central, but that might be a branding thing because they also do Anime North, which is up in Canada, and that was actually the following weekend this year. That's gonna be tight for those organizers, you know. But yeah, this one, I when I first saw the design, because if you're part of the subscription, you actually get to see the designs, like prototypes of the designs before they happen. This one reminded me very heavily of like an EDK variant, right? So this one, obviously this is the basic 2, but anodized and battle worn. It's like roughly tumbled a whole lot. Realistically, though, you're probably not doing any damage to the finish then because the damage has already been done. It's got a vibe. Normally, the battle worn ones are in their grab bags. So when they have ones that don't have great finish, they'll battle wear them to like at least knock off the high points to make them usable, etc., and then sell them in a grab bag. So it's kind of interesting that people's request for the basic 2, like the number 1 requested finish, was battle worn. I'm kind of surprised at that because this is like normally like the cheaper, like this would be not like second hand per se, but B stock, let's call it. Wabi Sabi, if you're into like sculpting tools and their references to like some of the Japanese terms. I think some other brands might use that, like Bernoulli as well. But yeah, that was kind of, I feel like this is like they call it the textured modal. They were seeing how small they can go on here with turning the whole thing. And they went much bigger, probably because it's much easier on here, and only did about half the pen. But it's actually super nice for a grip. There's a reason why Tactile Turn does. I don't think they've ever done anything that rough, however. Here you can see, here's the Whataburger that you guys really like. So it's definitely not as fine as the textured modal, but much finer than the basic 2. This one reminded me of a simplified version of the Dragon Skin, the basic 1. You know, similar placement, just a simplified design of that. And this one kind of has, like I said, I think like it's EDK with a bit more flair. I've seen some pens designed out there with a similar, like this part, like tactical pens are kind of in this vibe of, what do you want to call it? Like this sort of like pen chunk up here and pen chunk up there, like staggered. And it looks like halfway with a bit, and then this might be a third. So it's like half, however much that is, and then like a third of the pen. It does line up almost perfectly with the clip. So it's got like good vibes to it. Between these two, between the basic 1 and the basic 3, I'd probably take the basic 3. It's a much smoother grip, whereas this one you have to lock in at like one of the lumps, which like the Dragon Skin does lock you in, but it is nice and comfortable when you do. But like say if your grip doesn't align with one of those lumps exactly, you're not going to want to grip in between there. Whereas something like the basic 3, you can kind of grab wherever, because these grooves do give you like a little bit more to grip on. But more than anything, they're visual. Like more than anything, this is visual. I like the butt end of the basic 3 personally more than the basic 1. I didn't like this notch that was right there personally. I think it's meant to be so you can kind of grab it. I mentioned in the previous EDK video, like this is here so you can grab it out of your pocket. but with where the bolt is on the basic, it's so up near the top that, and this doesn't go in that far, right? I don't know that necessarily helps any. So personally, I kind of like this more domed top on here. It reminds me of here, like the G10 tactile turn. Like imagine that bolt isn't there, right? The top of that has that same sort of kind of chamfer with that squared off top. Yeah, this one with multiple colors is too hard to show. But you know, maybe one of these guys. I think that G10 in white did the best job of showing that off. But it has a similar radius to it with a similar like pacing. It's a little bit more squared off. I think looks wise of all three, now I don't have the non-anodized one of the basic two. I think the basic 3 is the best. I didn't know how much I was going to like the basic 3, to be truthful. Like I said, I kind of written it off and been like, hey, I picked up the subscription to support Keros Customs, and they actually do this under Everyday Keros. So if you guys can't find them, that's because it's not on Keros Customs site. It's on the Everyday Keros site. They should have links going across there, but I would argue that I think that the basic 3, I think it's also, unless you consider this to be more complex, like this turning halfway down, but visual complexity, the basic 3 is by far the most complex of all designs. You know, with the different heights, the different depths of the grooving, like it's thinner up here and not as deep, but this doesn't, you know, like this gets taller, so then they make the grooves deeper and wider. This is lower, so they make them skinnier and more shallow. The only thing on this design, and this almost looks like a bullet per se, where it's this kind of acorn top. I almost wish that this had a harder edge, kind of like right here, right? I almost wish that had a harder edge to it, because it kind of looks like an acorn top bullet-ish chamfer there, kind of like you'd see on like the neck of a shell casing a little bit. It reminds me of, if that makes any sense. So the rest of it I like a lot. That's the only kind of chamfer angle, you know, because this one's so sharp and deep. I wish it was the same, and it might be, but like visually it doesn't look that way. And sometimes that's how stuff is, because this half is open, right? Because it goes down to the tip. Even if technically speaking, this angle here, it doesn't feel the same, by the way, because how it catches my nail. That feels like much less of a sharp angle than that there. But even if this was the same amount as this, because there's open spot here, it wouldn't visually look the same, if that makes some sense. But yeah, from how my nail catches it, yeah. That's the only part on this one that I'm a little bit. Otherwise, I really like this design. Like if you're like basic 1 or basic 3, not that basic 1 is bad by any means, but like my vibe would bring it to the basic 3 personally. The other thing about the basic 1 with this sort of accent up here, with it only being one lump, you kind of don't see it when you look at it from the side of the bolt here, right? Because the bolt's kind of vibing. Whereas this, because it continues down to the clip, you very much see it, right? So maybe another bump, like bump, might have been due. That would have probably sufficed, I think. But okay, I was just checking. They milled a flat for this to go on here. And it's more obvious on the basic. You can see like a ridge on the basic 1 there. They did do it on the basic 2. I just felt like it was a little less apparent, at least to my eyes. On the camera, I think it looks just as apparent. But so this guy's growing on me for sure. In this holder especially, it goes when you pull this one out, which is kind of funny. But I'm glad I could have like a used one that went through a couple weeks of use next to a brand new one. You can see how it dulls because it is that raw bare aluminum, and then it gets kind of like those white deposits on it. If you've ever had aluminum tent poles, you'll get the same thing there. That's just because they're not finished, and that's oxidation. But that takes away the sort of this is already kind of getting away from the chalky, let's say chalky feel of it, like the chalkboard sort of heebie-jeebie feel that I get from very bare raw aluminum. Just with me handling it in this video. But this guy I'm going to package back up. I think, like I said, that of the designs, I like the Basic 3 the best currently. This one, like the Basic 2 with this grip, it's a very simple, very grippy, very elegant. But I can definitely tell that like thought was put into this one. Like I said, the only part that I don't particularly like is that angle does not seem as and it's right next to one. You know what I mean? Like here there's a gap, right? I think because these are right next to each other. Same sort of mechanism. So if you guys were to take this apart, you put your finger here to make sure that that doesn't come out, and you unscrew the bolt handle. All right, ta-da! Looks like a thumb screw, and it's threaded in a way that it should only pull itself because there's a flat here, and this is skinnier than the flat. It should only pull itself until it stops. Hopefully by not separating and cracking this, then they do chamfer, and they like flatten and then chamfer this Delrin piece here. You know, so you're not screwing into like this side where it's still rounded, which would be much harder to do. And then inside here is just a Pilot G2. This is a 0.5. And then they have this spring, which is a custom spring that they get made. So put it back together. You want to line up this hole with the bolt slot there. And run this backwards until it catches. There we go. It should be. Nope. If you feel any sort of cross threading, don't push it. The other thing that you can try is what I'm going to do here is see what angle this needs to be to do it not in the pen. There you go. Okay, so you can kind of just work it a little bit. Let's zoom on in. 5. So yeah, what we're going to be doing is, and you can see there's like a little bit of a leading piece on here. That's very much like a classic thumb screw, because that lets you put it in and line it up before you actually start screwing. Then once you screw it backwards, you'll feel it catch and you want to go forwards. You can practice a couple times outside, but yeah, then you want to put it in here. And there we go. Do be aware, it very much is designed to fit Pilot G2. You need a little chippy choppy on the end of the refill if you want to use a a Euro 110. It will work though. I actually have a soccer refill in my basic one, which means it writes very scratchy and dry. But the color on it, when it does write, is very, very nice. But I kind of felt since the pen itself is a little scratchy and dry on the outside, it should have a little scratchy and dry refill. And then this is what I was calling the Basic 4 for you guys that are confused in the comments and or the Discord and or you know, other videos where I've mentioned it. This is actually not the Basic 4. It was supposed to be, if we go back to the original subscription thing, quarterly subscription, it was supposed to be exclusive, and it was the Basic 1, like EXC. I kind of took that in my brain as executive maybe as well, before they spell it out for me in the email. It was supposed to be the Basic 1 design, but like I said, you all that hopefully watched my videos, bought so many of these dang things, they didn't have any blanks left in time to make this guy. So we got the Basic 2, which I'm happy about because I was kind of bummed when the Basic 2 came in. And Squares got it because that's how we had planned it. Like, I was going to get the Basic 1 because of the videos and stuff. And he was all for the Basic 2. I mean, worst case, I told him, like, hey, if you hate the Basic 2 design, just let me know. You know, you have the Basic 3. I really don't care too much. This one keeps unscrewing as I... No, it just wasn't tight. But this is what they decided on, which is this. It's a nice blue color, that's for sure. But then they went with Battle Worn. Now, for the basic design that is supposed to be, what do you want to call it? Like, yeah, basic EXC will be one of the above releases in anodized finish. They'll not be available in any other way. Okay, have them ship with the Basic 3. See, I was confused. I didn't remember that part. I thought they were going to ship separately. My bad. I'm a dum-dum. Yeah, so basic subscription, 27% requested Battle Worn treatment, 27% were Battle Worn, 20% were blue, 18% were olive green. They opted for a dark blue anodized. Messes up darker blues. This one came out looking amazing. Okay, so it sounds like they purposely used this darker blue because they were going to be doing Battle Worn. If the anodizer messed it up, they're already making a Battle Worn, right? Turns out anodizer didn't mess it up, and it looks pretty dope, if you ask me. But yeah, so I'm happy to have this one in the collection. Like I said, I've seen in their pen show photos, like they have photos of them, you know, being at pen shows, that they actually tried some other anodizing colors out, and I don't know, I might have seen some Cerakote there as well, because I think they do their own in, like, the anodizing they don't do in house, but Cerakoting they do. So maybe that's why they went that route more. I don't know for sure. But I'm pumped because I really did like the Basic 2 design, with the heavily turned fore end here. For those that haven't seen Battle Worn before, you can see, like, they purposely, like, tumble it after it's been anodized to take off these edges. Now, you'll see a lot of that in the actual turning here as well. I would say this isn't as sharp, probably, as on the raw aluminum one as well, due to that. I would also think that because it was anodized, maybe that's why there's so much taken out by the turned grip here, is maybe the anodizing, because it's not this nice, easy, clean, flat surface they could do. Maybe it didn't penetrate as well, or there's more because there's more surface area. I'm not sure. Oh, tips very much like that too. You can see like any of the hard edges. You know, they've purposefully, that's what they do for their battle ones. And normally, that's why I was surprised that one was so nice. Like, the 27 people asking for battle one. I was just, not that it's bad. It's just usually on their cheaper, sort of extra batch, leftover pens. I have 2 here. There you can see, and I don't know if that's because these didn't have as nice finishes, but you can see nicks and stuff already in, and then the battle worn on the edges there. These were from grab bags. Squares and I would do 2, like 1 each, and then we'd split, because they would just literally choose random color top, random color bottom, random color top, random color bottom, and you wouldn't control what it is. So we would always order 2 and then swap. I think both of these we did swap around. I think he might have got the better deal on the bolt there. I might be wrong. I think he might have ended up with Christmas colors on his ink. I converted mine to a Hi-Tec-C. But yeah, so normally, like, this is often, if people want an into the machined pen market or hobby, these are often what I recommend, because you can get these for, I don't know, they went to 25, but like 30 to 45, maybe 50 at most dollars, depending on which pen it is. And that's compared to like that ink. This ink that you saw in the previous video, more than likely. Right here, my sunflower ink, that was like $100, right? So that's like half price. So I was just surprised that people would request that they make a finish, like a worse finish purposefully, when it isn't like an additional batch. Makes sense that they then chose a color that they thought, like, or they knew might not turn out amazing. It did turn out looking really freaking nice, though, and I'm glad I have this one. Like I said, the only way to get these was to get the subscription. And I think they said they basically don't plan on offering like any of the coated or anodized ones. I mean, they didn't even mention the pen shows. I just happened to see that they had them in their offerings when they were at them. I don't know if they plan to actually like make more premium ones and make them available, because the whole point of Everyday Cross really seems to be pumping out these guys, getting the people that are not into pens a nice pen that they can get a refill in, and like, just have a decent pen, have an entry point to the market. And I think that $30 price point is right. The Linus Tech Tips pen is also at $30, and there were a lot of people that decried him for selling, oh, that pen's so expensive. Some of these pens, plastic ones from like Uniball and the like, the fat ones that I like, the P, that's the one, the Uniball 1P. I say P for fat. Those are like $10 for a plastic pen, right? Now, they have a really cool mechanism that allows them to be even shorter than this. Like, they're the length of Uniball refill, right? So, even shorter. Really cool. But they're still like $10. Which, so 30 for a machined pen, I thought it was pretty good for Linus Tech Tips to do. And for Keras, an existing like brand in the market. I mean, they made a new brand specifically for this, Everyday Keras. But the fact that they can offer a pen at all for that price point, especially in today's market, Gertrude has shown up for those wondering, is amazing. So if you guys already have one nice pen and just need another one, or if you want to get a pen for somebody who maybe doesn't care about their pen, but you want them to care about the pen, you know, one of the basic 1, 2, or 3 might be one of the ones to look at. Theoretically, at this price too, they can always have it in stock. Like, it's not like oh, we gotta wait to do blah 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 blah. You know, they can always, you know, they're always going to be available, because that's like a big thing with these guys, Tucks, right? They make them in batches, and if you don't happen to catch that batch, or if that batch is a color set that you don't like there were 2 of this HD made like this. I don't know if they were one-offs or if they were like trials back when they did the standard Tuck XL, but they only had 2. Because this was never an officially like a whole batch. Like, there was never a whole batch of these, right? They didn't even have clips. I added that on, contacted them, let them know, like, hey, I need a clip. You got one for me? Obviously, I paid them for the clip. That's another thing I should note, guys. Anything, guys and gals and everybody, anything I show on this, unless otherwise specified, that's my dollar dues. And often I'll even tell you if it's something that I bought with your dollar dues, as in, like, if you went down in the description and bought some refills, or one of the other videos and picked up something via the Amazon affiliate links, which does help, because then I can buy things that, like this, the Gen 3 Bosch Go Professional Gen 3 screwdriver that a bunch of you wanted me to check out, and I finally could, because it got listed on Amazon, and I had enough affiliate revenue to pick it up. So I have the Go 2, and I was able to, thanks to all of you, and for all of you, pick this up. So similar thing there. I tend to try and put, because there's not much that comes in there. Like, it takes months to get enough to buy something like that for me. But at least I can pick up those things, because I personally couldn't justify another electric screwdriver. I already have enough issues, right? So I do appreciate when you guys do those links, but in regards to, like, no, Tactile Turn doesn't send me all of their seasonal pens. I buy them all. Cry, sob. If only. Same thing with Keras. As much as I'm a big fan of them, like I said, I have technically David has my my original Render K. That's why, you know, I originally picked up this. This was my first Render K since the OGs. That's why I picked one up, was because I bought one off of their Kickstarter, and then bought like one of each of their original designs. I have bar stock, copper, brass, and then David has my original one. So, yep, they did comment on my basic 1 video. I loved having that additional information, but for context, they even had it in their newsletter that they included my video in. I purchased the pens. I always would have. I like seeing this often too. Like, $30 is cheap enough. If you got a friend or a significant other, or, you know, whatever, maybe you wanted 2 of the 4 or 3 of the 4, you know, like David and I are splitting it. Then we got this guy, the basic 3. Maybe you got some in your life that just needs a little pick-me-up. You know what I mean? And that pick-me-up might be a nice pen. They always see you using them, and you're like, you know what? Hey, dude, you deserve this. Here you go. And, you know, maybe they can go along in their life a little bit better, and, you know, using a pen like that, you know. When it comes to, like I had brought this up on the new Gerber EAB video, that I didn't like the new Gerber EAB, but at one point, shortly after the EAB Lite had come out, which is like a slightly newer version of this, well, this one's kind of worn out. That's why I lived in my car. I don't use it too often. But I bought one for every male in my family. You know, now, this was, I don't know, say $10 at the time, right? These are a bit more expensive, but if there is something like you're like, I have a hobby and I want to share it with other people, this is far more able to do that with than, say, that or limited edition, that, you know, etc. And it gets you most of the experience, you know. The Pilot G2, as much as I poop on it over and over and over, it is still in the US like the gel pen refill. I would venture a guess that a lot of the people in your life would consider that like they would gravitate to a Pilot G2 without even knowing they're doing it. Because they've just been around for so long. But they're like, it's kind of like when you see a Microsoft mice. A lot of people who use computers for work but don't know why one of the old Microsoft mice with the red LED on the bottom, like why they want that, right? They know that that's a better mouse. If that makes sense. Because they've used them before and they're like, oh, I know that'll do what I want to do with it, right? They might not know why or care why even. But if they see one with like a cheap, crappy like Dell mouse or Gateway, and then you see one with a Microsoft one with the glowing red, you're like, oh, that's the one. You know. Same thing with the Pilot G2. They may not know that they prefer that, but probably subconsciously they've seen those before and they know they're right half decent, so they grab those. I think a lot of people claim they don't care about the pen they write with, which I find insane. But a lot of people with cars too don't care what they drive. They see it as a means of getting from point A to point B, and as long as it checks those boxes, they don't care about anything else about it. But even parents care, like how easy it is to put their kid in and out of the car, how many cup holders it has, etc., etc., etc. So I think when they say, do you care about cars, they're thinking like performance. Same thing with pens. It's not even always that. You know, maybe you just want the ability to have a whack ton of different colors. You know, a gel pen will do that over a ballpoint any day of the week. Any day of the week. We got Schmidt on the bottom of this somehow. But questions, comments, throw them down below. We do have our Discord linked in the description. Which of these I don't... Well, I guess I do kind of have them all. You know, basic 1, 2, ignore the anodizedness of it. Or 3, where your preferred version. And why? Hopefully see it below in the comments, and we'll see you in future videos. Peace.